American Timelines is a member of the Queen City Podcast Network, powered by Ortho Carolina. Find out more at queencitypodcastnetwork.com.
So now I'm obsessed with time. Come on, tell me about the time. Had it all in my hand tonight. Had the time of my life. When the words all come down like blues on Tuesdays gone down. Throw it all away.
That's a very sweet IPA.
Ready?
Really strong. Waldo. Lagunitas Waldo. Real sweet.
Shush.
Real strong. Ooh.
Welcome to another episode of...
Sorry,
no,
fuck.
I can't do it when you're doing it.
Shit tits.
All right, you shush.
I love you.
Welcome to another episode of American Timelines. I'm Amy, and that's Joe.
And we're so in love.
Oh, my God.
We can't get enough of each other.
All right.
We're like newlyweds.
No.
Yeah, we're just making out a second ago. Boom.
No, that's incorrect.
Okay, we weren't making out. I was drinking a beer.
Okay. And today we do not have any guests.
Yes, we told
We're-
the guest. We had a guest, and I told him to fuck off.
No,
Get
that
out of
didn't
here.
happen.
You're not welcome on this podcast anymore. Get the fuck out of here.
But we can finally do the
That's not
podcast with our shirts off.
Yeah,
If we want to.
Yeah, if we want to take our shirts off, we can. Yeah, we decided, sometimes it's a lot of work to have guests for them and us, and like getting all the stuff set
Who cares?
up, and you gotta get.
We don't
Yeah.
need to go through
Yeah, that's
this
true.
whole thing.
But this time we don't have a guest. This is a guest-free episode. This is a guest-free episode and a rape-free episode, right?
Correct.
Yay! No
Rape-free!
rape, no rapey,
Pew, pew,
rapey,
pew.
bum, 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 and no guesty. Let's start in May, and we did 2 months last episode, so we are in May of 1952.
Yeah.
And Amy, from what I understand, we are going to start with you. Your murder or whatever you have starts at the beginning of the month. So this is going to be one of those rare treats where Amy actually begins the episode droning on and on about whatever horrible awfulness she has.
Okay. I'm going to ignore you and begin.
I love you, but I'm going to try to...
So I'm starting May 1st,
Okay.
1952.
All right. I'm not even going to tell you what I'm going to try to do. I'm just going to slip it in, and we'll see what happens.
Hello.
I mean, I didn't mean that
All right.
innuendo.
All right. On May 1st, 1952,
Yep.
2-year-old Shirley Diane Weldon greeted her aunt Earl Dennison.
Wait, her aunt's name is Earl?
Yes.
It's a...
E-A-R-L-E.
Oh, so that's a female version of Earl?
Yes, I guess.
He's greeting his aunt
She's greeting her aunt.
the same day. Oh, she is greeting her aunt the same day that Mr. Potato Head was introduced.
Yes.
I mean, we talked about the first commercial, but this is when they were introduced. Also, the TWA introduced tourist class for the first time.
Yeah.
And U.S. Marines took part in an atomic explosion and training in Nevada.
Okay.
That sounds like they were doing that pretty much all month,
Yeah.
all year, all the 50s.
Okay. So, yeah,
That
she
same day?
greeted her Aunt Earl
Yeah.
with a big hug and climbed up on her lap to enjoy the orange soda that Earl gave her.
Oh, Aunt Earl. I love Auntie Earl, my TT. She brings orange soda.
And shortly after, then,
Earl. I love that there's an aunt named
Shirley
Earl.
became violently ill, vomiting on her mother
no.
and complaining of a severe stomachache.
Was it the orange soda?
Earl, an operating room nurse with 25 years of experience,
Yeah.
gave Shirley another soda to help settle her stomach.
Oh, something with Pepsin in it.
The toddler was unable
Maybe.
to keep the drink down and again was stricken with a bout of throwing up. About 5 hours later, afflicted with severe convulsions and in obvious pain, Shirley Diane died
Oh, no.
at the Wetumpka, Alabama hospital.
The what? What, Alabama?
Wetumpka.
Wetumpka? So this Auntie Earl poisoned her.
Would seem so.
I'm hoping it's not on purpose.
Shirley's mother, Cora Bell Weldon,
Yeah.
had delayed taking her daughter to the doctor because she trusted the advice of the nurse who said Shirley was simply suffering an upset stomach.
Is the nurse her sister?
No, this was a different nurse.
Oh,
Taking
that
Shirley
nurse.
to the
I'm sorry.
physician earlier would not have saved the girl's life, pathologists said.
Really?
Shirley's death was an almost identical repeat of an earlier tragedy for the Weldon family.
Oh, no.
On the day Shirley was born, her older sister Polly Ann was being watched by Earl
Yeah?
when she also became profoundly ill with stomach pains and vomiting after being given a celebratory ice cream cone by her aunt.
Gosh, this crazy woman's poisoning these children.
In the same hospital where her mother had hours before giving birth to another healthy baby girl and where Earl worked, Polly Ann died.
Oh, no.
No one suspected foul play when Polly Ann died, and the matter was simply put down to a tragic event
Yeah, the
that would
first time.
forever mar the celebrations of Shirley's birthdays.
Yeah, the first time you're not going to think anything, but now
Yeah,
she's got to be thinking, fuck Earl.
right. So
Stop killing my
Earl,
kids.
52,
Yeah.
was the girl's aunt only through marriage.
Oh.
Under the law, she was actually considered an aunt-in-law because she
Okay.
was related to the Weldon family through her marriage to the late Lem Weldon,
Oh, so
Cora
she's
Bell's
not-
brother.
Yeah, she married that guy, and that guy's dad, and it's not really even a family member.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of.
So then immediately after Shirley's death,
Yeah.
Cora Bell and her husband Gaston suspected foul play.
Wow,
In their
Gaston.
eyes, there was only one consistent factor in the deaths of their daughters, and it
Earl.
was Earl.
Her name is Earl.
Earl. They demanded an autopsy, which was performed by
Oh.
Dr. C.J. Relling, the state toxicologist.
Uh-oh.
While Earl watched the procedure, Relling examined the girls' organs and found overwhelming indications that the girls had been poisoned.
Earl was watching the
Yep, she's a nurse,
autopsy?
remember.
Oh, gosh. But maybe not let the suspect in there
I know,
watching.
right?
She's going to hit somebody with an anvil.
Heavy metal poisoning leaves a number of readily visible signs. The,
Really?
the mucosa of the body displayed an uncharacteristic bright red color.
Oh, you know when that
And that's
mucosa is
it's
bright
a-
red.
Mucosa is a moist tissue that lines particular organs and body cavities throughout the body, including nose, mouth, lungs, and gastrointestinal tract.
Duh, everybody knows that.
And there was also Aldrich Mees lines on the little girl's fingernails.
Wait, she had Aldrich Mees lines on her fingernails?
Each of these
What does that
told
mean?
Relling to examine the tissues for arsenic,
Oh.
which he found in above normal amounts.
Really?
Relling also examined physical evidence taken from the Weldons' home. After his wife took Shirley to the hospital, Gaston Weldon gathered up several items he felt were connected to Shirley's illness. In a paper bag, he put his wife's vomit-soaked dress, the little girl's similarly coated clothes, a towel, a Coca-Cola bottle, and he stored the items at his brother's house until Shirley died, at which time he turned them over to the county coroner.
Here's a bunch of barf-covered stuff.
Yep. The coroner gave the items to Rawling, who detected large amounts of arsenic on the clothing.
Yep.
There was no arsenic found in the soda bottle. At the Weldon home, however,
possible?
police found the cup that Shirley used to drink the orange
Yeah.
soda, and
it
that
was
was
in the
found to
cup.
have trace amounts of arsenic.
Frickin' Earl.
2 witnesses would later say they saw Earl take the Coke bottle and cup into the kitchen, although no one saw her wash them. Cora Bell, however, recalled that Earl had brought the Coke in from outside the house and was gently shaking it just prior to giving it to Shirley. Why would she even be doing that?
Why is she killing children?
Police learned that while Shirley was being treated by doctors, Earl left the hospital and stopped off at a local insurance agency and paid a past due premium on a life insurance policy she had taken out on Shirley.
Wait a minute. She can't take a life insurance out on that kid.
The
That's not her
policy
kid.
was set to lapse due to non-payment on May 2nd, 1952.
May 2nd, 1952 was going to lapse the same day that the first scheduled jet airliner passenger service began with a British Overseas Airways Corporation Comet from London to Johannesburg carrying 36 passengers, and the same day that John Cage's Water Music, this weird guy that plays music by like swishing things around in a bathtub and hitting jars, using a piano, radio, whistles, water containers, and a deck of cards, premiered in New York City. There's a
my
video of it
jeez.
of him on YouTube. I'll play like as we're going out.
Okay.
It's weird.
Yep. So in the 1950s, Alabama did not require insurance agents to have permission from people or even notify them when life insurance
Are you
policies were purchased against their lives.
Are you fucking
Can you
kidding me?
believe that?
That's something you should probably have put in place when you put in.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding
Nope.
me? I wonder if there's a database somewhere of all the people that took out
There was one case
insurance.
Mary Perkins,
Yeah.
who worked in collusion with an agent to take out life insurance policies on as many as 150 people without their knowledge.
Well, you would just like pick people that like you see somebody who's about to die. Oh, that guy's old as fuck. I'm taking one out of that guy.
Seriously.
He's gonna be dead soon.
Today, they require a signature of the person named in the policy. That's all they require today.
You think you should do that, maybe, dude?
At least, at the very
what
least.
in the hell?
So
is
eventually,
going on in this world?
Eventually, investigators learned
Yeah.
that Earl had taken out $5,500, which is about $55,000 in today's money,
Yeah, ain't nothing now, but it was then.
worth of insurance on the little girl.
Oh, Lord.
If therefore it were necessary to search for a motive, we would find it here, the Alabama Supreme Court would opine later.
Yeah, they should opine that.
On May 8th,
Oh,
you have May 8th?
yes. Also on May 8th, the same day that. All right, I'm skipping May 3rd and 5th. May 8th, the same day that Of the I Sing opens
Oh,
at Ziegfeld Theater in New York City for 72 performances with a seating capacity of 1,638.
that is such a problematic musical.
Yeah, so you were in it. The
Yeah.
only reason I included it, I had this anyway before you gave me that date, because that when I first met you,
Yes.
you were performing on stage
Yes.
in Of the I Sing. Is this the one where you had to wear a bathing suit?
Yes.
Yeah. And so you were wearing a bathing suit, and I was there with my
I was
girlfriend.
Diana Devereaux.
Yeah. And I had to pretend I didn't think you were cute in your bathing suit. And in fact, the girl I was with actually asked me, she's like, "Do you think she's cute?" I was like, "No way.
Oh,
Don't like her at all." But I
That's
really
cute.
was enjoying the sight of you in
Okay.
a bathing suit. But anyway, this was the Ziegfeld Theater. I looked up a little bit about that. It was named for the famed Broadway impresario Florenz Ziegfeld Jr.,
Mm-hmm.
who happened to be born in Chicago and personally witnessed the Great Chicago Fire when he was a kid.
Wow.
So a little funny thing.
Yeah.
So this Ziegfeld Theater was a big deal, and it was mostly known for it did Of the I Sing, but it was known more for their other show.
Ziegfeld Follies, probably.
Yeah, well, Ziegfeld Follies. Ziegfeld did the Follies, but I don't think the theater did. But
Oh.
it was. I think I deleted.
Who
I
cares?
narrowed it down, so it was Showboat. That's what. It
Oh,
was.
okay.
They were known for Showboat, and it was torn down in 1966, much to many people's chagrins, because it was like an original Broadway theater. Yeah. So on May 8th, while Of the I Sing is gonna get ready to open, what
Yes.
happened?
Earl Dennison was arrested for the murder of Shirley Weldon.
Wow.
When the sheriff arrived to take her into custody, he found Earl in bed. He gave her a few minutes to dress, only to find that while he waited, Earl took an overdose of barbiturates in a suicide attempt.
Oh, what?
She was taken to the hospital and had her stomach pumped. Within a couple
Sheesh.
days, she was taken to the Julia Tutwiler Prison for Women in Wetumpka.
Oh, I bet that's a rough prison in the 50s. I wonder what was there pictures of this Earl?
Yeah. She looks like a spinster kind of.
Does she? I'm picturing my great grandmother.
Yeah.
Like an older lady with cat eyeglasses.
There, in the presence of the prison superintendent Edwina Mitchell Relling and Sheriff Lester Holly, Earl
Yeah.
confessed in writing to the murders. During the 4-hour questioning, Earl was as cool as anyone could be, Holly told the press.
Really?
Authorities exhumed
She
the
had just tried to kill herself, and she's cool as a cucumber?
Yeah. And authorities exhumed the body of Polly Ann, who had also been insured by Earl,
Yeah.
and found fatal traces of arsenic. They also
So she cashed in on the first kid,
Yep.
huh?
They also dug up Lem Weldon's body, but he apparently died of natural causes.
I
Earl
forgot
was-
who that was. That was her husband?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Earl was set to go to trial on August 14th, 1952.
Oh, wait. Are you telling me the truth here? She was set to go on trial the same day that UK Prime Minister Anthony Eden, who was 55 years old, wed the UK Prime Minister's niece, another Prime Minister's niece, Clarissa Spencer Churchill, who was only 32, in a civil ceremony at Caxton Hall, London, that same day?
Yes.
That day? Whoa! What a coincidence!
So she was set to go to trial on
yeah,
that day.
she's getting ready to go on trial.
But the day before she was to appear in court, she smuggled a razor blade into her cell and again attempted suicide.
Tried to kill herself, but
She
the
was
problem was
foiled a
she
second
just-
time.
She was instead of killing, she didn't know how to kill herself, so she just shaved her legs instead. So she just thought, I'll just be rough with my legs and that'll bleed to death. It didn't work,
Right.
probably.
Maybe.
Maybe not.
The trial began the next day, and the prosecution presented overwhelming evidence that Earl committed the crimes.
Overwhelming evidence.
She countered by admitting she had access to arsenic, but she said
she
she
had
was
already
just
signed a
using it as a
confession.
bug killer.
She'd already signed a confession, though.
I know
They're
but
going to
she's
use that against Earl.
yeah. The all-male jury convicted
name
her
is Earl.
and recommended a death sentence.
Ooh.
The sentence made national news because she was the first white woman to be condemned to die in Alabama's electric chair.
Oh, yeah, because Alabama only executes black people.
Yep. Justice was swift in the
Black men.
1950s, and on September 4th, 1953...
Whoa! Are you about to tell me that they put her to the chair the same day that Lawrence Hilton Jacobs was born in New York City, New York?
Yes.
The fifth of 9 children of parents Hilton Jacobs and Clotilda Jacobs. The same Lawrence Hilton Jacobs who studied acting with the Negro Ensemble Company and the Alfan Theatrical Ensemble. And in 1975, he won the role of Freddie Boom Boom Washington on the ABC hit
Jeez.
comedy series Welcome Back, Kotter. That same day,
Yes.
she was put to death? She
All
might be
I can't
reincarnated.
even find my place
Wait, you
after
think
that
she was
ridiculousness.
Ridiculous. Freddie Boom Boom Washington.
Yes, she was electrocuted on that day. She
She-
was 55.
So Freddie Boom Boom Washington could be reincarnated as Boom Boom.
She said, God has forgiven me for all I've done, she said while being strapped into the yellow wooden chair. Please forgive me for what I did. I forgive everyone. Gaston Weldon was somewhat magnanimous in his post-execution comments.
Yeah.
I feel nothing but sorry for Mrs. Dennison and her family, but at the same time, I have to remember that she did not show any mercy to my little girl.
Hell no.
The Weldon
Hells
family would
no.
eventually win a $75,000 wrongful death settlement against the companies that insured the two girls.
Really?
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. Sue those motherfuckers. That'll
Uh-huh.
change the rule real fast.
That's right. They argued that because Earl had no insurable interest in the children, the company should have been suspicious of her motives.
Her name was Earl.
The Alabama Supreme Court upheld the verdict, stating that the acts of the defendants placed the insured child in a zone of danger with unreasonable harm to her, and that the defendants, in issuing the alleged illegal contracts, knew or by the exercise of reasonable diligence should have known that
my
Mrs.
goodness.
Dennison had no insurable interest in the life of the insured.
You can't fucking just insure anybody, bro. Earl?
And that's the story of Earl.
That is a effed up situation.
Earl the poisoning motherfucker.
I can't believe that even was a thing that you could do. You could just take out an insurance
know.
thing on anybody. That is the dumbest fucking
I
thing
know.
I've ever heard. Everyone here is now dumber for having heard that.
Well, you're not
no,
dumber for knowing that
No,
was a
I know.
thing.
I just can't believe that was a thing. Like what? It just. I guess it
You
just.
would think that'd be rule number one.
Oh yeah, it would. But that's the world. That's the country we live in. That's the world we live in.
Yeah.
That was a thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
we just there was a state that just did that, and probably maybe multiple. It's just like I've immediately lost all hope
Yeah.
for all humanity. Like no wonder.
I did a long time ago, really.
I know, but
Lose
no
all
wonder.
hope.
Like this is what was going on in the 50s when our parents were being born. Like no wonder we are where we are. Like this is who we are. People that did that. Like we really. That was a. What is?
Well, yeah.
What's the? How the? What the?
I mean, people are just as dumb today.
Oh, I know.
They voted for Donald Trump.
Well, let's not get into politics now.
I'm just saying.
So I'm going to back up because you scooted through some things through May here, through this story.
Yes.
Which was very good. That was a very
You
good
like that
story.
one?
Yeah, I really liked it.
Good.
I mean, I'm not mad at the story. Actually, it was very concise and fucked up and weird. Like something you'd
Yeah.
think that would never happen. But so there's a couple things you skipped. So you went from May 2nd to May 3rd. On
Right.
May 3rd, I'm going to back up to May 3rd real quick.
Okay.
Because on the May 3rd, I don't have a lot of things. I'm just trying to
Okay.
find something
You don't have
talk
to get
about.
defensive. Just go.
No, I'm just saying that
Just
we're
go.
almost done with the episode. I got to find something to talk about. May 3rd
Yes.
was the first landing by an airplane
Yeah.
at the geographic North Pole.
Oh.
So think about that. Before then,
They probably couldn't get there with enough gas or something.
well, think about planes. Like planes were crashing all the time.
Like, that's always boggles my mind. Like, planes can go around the world now and stuff, right?
I think they still have to stop.
Like,
and
how do you...
fuel up?
But then sometimes planes go across the ocean
Yeah.
and they don't need to refuel. That's insane to me.
Yeah, they got a lot. They can hold a lot, which
Yeah.
which is why if they crash or whatever, it's going to be a big explosion.
Mushroom cloud.
But anyway,
Mushroom stamp.
this was a ski mushroom stamp. This was a ski modified U.S. Air Force C-47 piloted by Lieutenant Colonel Joseph O. Fletcher of Oklahoma and Lieutenant Colonel William P. Benedict of California. They became the first aircraft to land on the North Pole. A moment later, Fletcher climbed out of the plane and walked to the exact geographic North Pole. And they think he's probably the first person in history to do that.
Did he pee in the snow, make it yellow?
He got his dick stuck to the pole.
Yeah, he probably
And, it's kind of like that scene from Christmas Story.
Yep.
Instead of his tongue, it was his wiener. In the early 20th century, American explorers Robert Peary and Dr. Frederick Cook, both claiming to have separately reached the North Pole by land, publicly disputed each other's claims. So, in 1911, Congress had to formally recognize Peary's claim. But in recent years, further studies of the conflicting claims suggest that neither one actually reached the exact North Pole. They were just like in the vicinity. But that Peary came probably closer, but fell 30 miles short.
Who cares, really?
Yeah, I don't know. People cared about that shit
Yeah, I
back
know they
then.
did,
What else
yeah.
did you have? You didn't have a cell phone.
Then you got a cell phone and you stopped caring about anything.
But standing there with Fletcher, Colonel Fletcher, was Dr. Albert P. Crary, a scientist who later in 1961 traveled to the South Pole by motorized vehicle, becoming the first person in history to have stood on both poles.
Oh, say.
And then the whole thing ended up being moot because, unknown to Fletcher and his team, a Soviet expedition had previously landed 3 Lysunov Li-2s at the pole on April 23rd, 1948. So it turns out, in hindsight, they weren't actually even the first one. So the whole
the whole thing's
thing is just a bunch of bullshit
Oh.
to fill time.
Well, maybe and then probably in the 70s they had like first twins that went to the pole.
Yeah.
First one twin at each pole.
The fattest twins.
The
that have ever
fattest
gone to North
twins.
Pole. I know those guys on the
Motorcycles.
bikes. Those
The
fat guys.
poles.
Get those fat guys on the bikes and that guy with the long fingernails. Get those
And the
guys-
mustache
and
guy.
The two-headed Asian
twirly
guy.
mustache guy.
Yeah, we'll get those there. So I got this info from History.com.
hold
Published
on.
by A&E Television Networks. The article title is Joseph Fletcher lands first aircraft on the North Pole.
My main source was markgribben.com.
Mark Gribben, is that Gribbon?
Yeah, that's correct. And
Mark
it
Gribben,
was
y'all.
Murderpedia
Murderpedia
and Wikipedia.
and Wikipedia. Wikipedia is, it's just like Murderpedia, but it's just for information without murders.
No, Murderpedia has it will like any newspaper articles that
Yeah.
were written will be it like collates it all for you.
Is there a pedia for everything now?
Probably.
Because there's like a Wikipedia for Star Wars
There is.
characters. There's Joepedia for G.I. Joe characters. There's a Pornopedia.
No.
There probably is.
There probably is.
Yeah, there probably is.
Don't look
Okay.
it up.
I won't.
That's a work computer.
This is my personal computer. I can look up all the porn I want.
That's right. You bought yourself a personal computer recently.
So I could look up porn all I wanted. Okay, the next thing I have, don't look at what I'm going to click. Did you look at it?
I need a computer, a personal computer.
I got one over here for you.
Giving me crappy Henry's crap old one.
Yeah, you don't need anything good. You don't even know how to use it.
I beg your pardon.
Okay, hold on. Don't look. I'm going to play something for you
Why can't I look?
because it'll give it away. You got to listen. Close your eyes. And this was the
So
day
bossy.
this first aired.
So
You
why
ready?
don't you join the thousands of happy, peppy people and get a great big bottle of Mida Midgement?
Lucille Ball.
Remember that name. Mida Vitameedimat.
It's like the most famous episode ever. The Vitamita Medjibin. Vitamita Medjib. I can't even say it.
Vitamita Vegemin.
Vitamita Vegemin. So she's doing a commercial, and this thing's got alcohol on in it, like 20%
Oh, so she can't
alcohol.
say it.
And as she keeps trying it, tastes real terrible, but she gets real drunk.
Oh.
And so it's like one of the most famous things of Lucille Ball ever. It's
Yeah.
like the
That was-
Vitamita. Everybody knows about that. So I thought you would know that right away. But that was when this episode,
It aired.
Lucy Does a TV commercial aired, garnering 68% of all U.S. television viewers. That's huge.
Remember, though, play three channels.
Yeah.
So
everybody, yeah.
everybody
you
was
only watch
watching
that.
one of three.
But that's the thing, like everybody saw that. Like this is like a
Yeah.
famous thing. Like
Right.
Lucy, people recreate this all the time. And later reruns, the scene where Lucy is in a broken television set. It was edited to remove references to Philip Morris because it was sponsoring I Love Lucy at the time.
Oh.
But when they banned tobacco
Yeah.
advertisements, they had to take it off. But the DVD release, as well as the colorized episode, restore it. So apparently the Vitamita Vegemin thing had 23%. It originally had 11% alcohol. That makes me think it was a real thing. But it was increased to 23% on the show, so it must have been a real thing.
Yeah.
The bottle from which Lucille Ball was at first pouring the tonic and later drinking from directly actually contained apple pectin.
Whatever that is.
It's like I looked it up and I still don't know what it is. Anyway, this sketch was
It
originally...
probably had gelatin involved because
yeah,
it's
it's
1950s.
like I looked it up. It's like a gelatin weird extract. Like it's
Yes.
extract mixed with weird shit that you
Yep.
get from fruits.
Cod liver
it's like
oil or something.
Yeah, it's like
Weird.
a white, liquidy, weird. I don't know. This sketch, though, was originally created by Red Skelton and had been part of his vaudeville routine since the 30s.
Oh.
And Skelton granted Ball permission to use it in I Love Lucy, which I had no idea.
okay.
So you can say that now next time
Yeah.
you see it. The dress she wore during that rehearsal scene is owned by actress Laura Dern. She
Oh.
owns that now. And
And I bet it has a 23-inch waist
yeah,
because
probably.
that's
She
how
was tiny.
all women in the 50s were built. Like,
Yeah.
people's waists were so tiny compared to now.
Why?
It's all the hormones and the
Oh, they didn't eat
meat.
hormones then.
I guess. I don't know what else. And sugar. Everything's got sugar in it.
Well, apparently Deborah Messing recreated this scene because everybody thinks she looks like Lucille Ball.
Let's talk more about overweight, like middle age, overweight issues.
Okay. What do you want to talk about it?
No, I'm just kidding. Let's not.
You want to talk about how hard it is to put her pants on now?
Let's not talk about it. I'm just kidding.
Okay. Well, May 7th was the concept of the integrated circuit. The basis for all modern computers was first published by Jeffrey Dahmer. And I did like a whole deep dive on his life, and it's really boring. I really couldn't find much at all. So do you want me to cover it?
Nope.
But basically, like, before, like, he created the circuit board, like, that you could put different circuits and just,
Yeah.
like, in, like, silicone, put them all together. Before they had to be, like,
Big mega
giant. That's why the
computers.
computers were so big and everything. Now they can be, like, a little...
That's
main-
pretty nice of him.
Yeah. I'm amazed these little circuit... Like, the hard drive that I had to replace in the computer was, like...
Yeah.
It was a circuit board like this with all the information that we ever had. Our 3 terabytes were in, like, this
Little tiny
much
thing.
room. Yeah. It could fit
Oh, they
in
make
my
'em like-
penis hole.
They make them like the size of a period from a typewriter.
Yeah, that's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that guy was from
And they
Hull.
make cameras that size.
The guy was a couple things about that guy, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
His name was Dummer, and he was from a town
You
called
sure that's how it's pronounced?
Dummer. How else are you gonna pronounce it?
Well, I'm just saying.
Doomer?
Maybe Dumer
Dummer.
or something.
Dummer. He was English. He was born in Hull,
Dama.
a town in England. That same place that Fatboy Slim is from.
Okay. I'm done with that story.
Also, that Dummer guy. He worked for a guy named R.J. Dippy once.
Are you
R.J.
dippy?
Dippy. I am not Dippy. Anyway, this was accepted as the first public description of an integrated circuit. We talked about May 8th when Of the Icing came out. And then we got May 15th besides Freddie Boom Boom Washington. So this is we have our first birthday, so hit the music. Amy hates birthday. May 15th, 1952, American actor from The Usual Suspects and Bronx Tale was born in the Bronx, New York. Do you know who wrote
The Usual Suspects.
The Bronx Tale? and he was in The Usual Suspects. The son of Rose, a homemaker, and Lorenzo Palminteri, a bus driver. He was raised in the Belmont neighborhood of the Bronx. Palminteri is of Sicilian origin. His grandparents, Calogero Palminteri
I don't think I know who
and
this
Rosa
person.
Bonfante, married in 1908 and immigrated to the U.S. in 1910 from Menfi in the province of Agrigento, Sicily.
Jesus.
Agrigento. Chaz Palminteri.
Oh, okay.
The Chaz Palminteri. He struggled to become an actor, splitting his time between acting in off-Broadway plays and moonlighting as a bouncer alongside Dolph Lundgren.
Hmm.
Can you imagine going to a club and Dolph Lundgren and Chaz Palminteri throw you out?
God, I don't even think anybody knows who Chaz Palminteri is.
Everybody knows Chaz. Everybody
No.
knows who Chaz Palminteri is. His big break came in 1988 with the premiere of his autobiographical one-man show, A Bronx Tale, which I didn't know was about him, which he wrote after being fired from a club for refusing entry to talent agent Swifty Lazar. Robert De Niro later developed and directed a film version. I knew Robert De Niro did that, but I didn't know Chaz
Yeah.
Palminteri was about him. It was a good movie. Did you ever see Bronx
No,
Tale?
never did.
It's really good. And they turned it into a play, I think, and it's about race relations,
Oh,
sort
really?
of in New York at the time, in the 50s,
Oh.
and it's like he's an Italian kid. You know, it's like they're like mafia type
Yeah.
ties, and then he likes a black girl,
Oh.
but you can't bring a black girl home, and it's like
Right.
a real. And then he, the black people don't want him dating her, and the white people don't want him dating her, but they keep sneaking off and everything. It's kind of, it's really good.
Yeah.
It's a really good movie.
That's a little recommendation for you.
I would recommend that.
Okay.
And I tried to watch the play, but they turned into a musical. Like when people start singing, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm out. That's just me. I'm not good with that. And that leaves it. I only have one more thing, but it's the greatest thing we've ever covered on American Timelines.
No. Come on.
This is going to
Can't
be the
say
greatest
that.
moment of American Timelines history.
All right.
All right?
Amy hates birthdays. Amy hates birthdays.
On May 21st, 1952, Lawrence Turod was born in Chicago, Illinois, the youngest son in a family with 12 children.
Oh, Jesus.
Turod, with his 4 sisters and 7 brothers. Think about this. They grew up in a 3-room apartment in the Robert Taylor
Whoa.
homes with 12 children in a 3-room apartment.
How is that possible?
His father, Nathaniel Turod, was a minister. After his father left when he was 5, he was mad at his dad, so he changed his name to Lawrence T. Rowe.
So his dad was a minister,
Yeah.
and
had
then he
12
left
kids.
his wife with 12 kids.
I don't know how you couldn't. I'm not saying
Yet
you
another
should.
example
How
of
could
the
you-
hypocrisy of, religion sometimes.
In 1970, Lawrence T. Rowe legally changed his last name, to just T. His new
Mr.
name,
T?
Mr. T, was based upon his childhood impressions regarding the lack of respect from white people for his family.
Oh,
He
poor
said,
guy.
I think about my father being called boy,
Oh.
my uncle being called boy, my brother coming back from Vietnam and being called boy. So I question myself, what does a black man have to do
Yeah, really.
before he's given respect as a man?
Yeah.
So when I was 18 years old, when I was old enough to fight and die for my country, old enough to drink, old enough to vote, I said I was old enough to be called a man. I self-ordained myself Mr. T, fool. So the first word out of everybody's mouth is Mr. That's a sign of respect that my father didn't get, that my brother didn't get, that my mother didn't get. Don't give me no talk back, sucker. Anyway, this is one of my heroes. Mr. T's the best. He attended Dunbar Vocational High School where he played football. He wrestled, and he studied martial arts. While at Dunbar, he became a citywide wrestling champion 2 years in a row. He won a football scholarship to Prairie View A&M University, where he majored in mathematics, but he was expelled after his first year. Mm-hmm. And for the life of me, I looked everywhere all over the internet. I couldn't find out why he was expelled. So I don't know that. I wish I knew. Maybe we can have Mr. T as a guest. But next, he worked as... he then enlisted in the U.S. Army. 1975, and he served in the Military Police Corps. After his discharge in the late 70s, he tried out for the Green Bay Packers of the NFL, but he failed to make the team due to a knee injury, which I didn't know that. And I'm glad because the Packers fucking suck. And I have another reason to hate the Packers.
I'll
They
just leave now.
they didn't sign
Like
Mr. T.
you could talk about this
Fucking
for
Packers.
hours.
Hey, stupid Green Bay Packers.
I don't even have
you
to
had a
be
chance
here.
to have Mr. T on your team, you idiots. All right, a little bit more about Mr. T, and we'll go. He worked as a bouncer at the Rush Street Club Dingbats. It was at this
No,
time.
remember we went to that one bar that he had been a bouncer at.
We did
in
It
Chicago.
was Dingbats.
No, it was named something different. But maybe I think they had changed the name.
Maybe it was originally Dingbat.
It was
on
that
Rush
one that.
Street.
Yeah, it was that
Rush
one that
Street.
was down.
Timothy O'Toole's.
Yeah, I want to say that was right.
Well, that was on Rush Street. I think it was near Rush Street.
Yeah.
So maybe we were at the place.
I
with
think we
Mr. T.
were.
We, I can't remember. Like buddies of ours saw him because we lived in Chicago for a while, and he's from Chicago and lived there.
Right.
He had a mansion, or he had a big, fancy condo near there at the time, and people said they'd see him, and I was always looking for him. But anyway, at this club is where he would put on gold chains of people he threw out. Their gold chain would fall, and he'd put them on.
Yeah,
And then he started gathering all the gold chains.
I bet that was so uncomfortable though. To
Yeah,
wear all those
and then
gold
after a
chains.
while, he just became that. You know, it was like his thing.
Yeah.
But
But then they
yeah.
beefed him up. Then they gave him a mohawk, and then they gave him the
No,
earrings.
I think he had the mohawk already.
What about the earrings and all that?
All the feathers and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That was maybe added, but
I think that was
I think
Hollywood.
the gold chains were added. But well, they found him. Sylvester Stallone found him on like one of the first reality shows ever. It was like a bouncer competition
Oh Jesus!
on TV, and it was like. And they tossed midgets. One of the things they did was
Oh my
they would
God.
toss midgets.
I
It's like,
believe
or
the
little
preferred
people,
nomenclature is.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like when you say what it is, you have to say
Yeah.
tossing midgets because it doesn't have the same effect if I say tossing little people.
Right.
You don't quite get what it is. But, yeah, because it's the whole thing's bad, it's not calling them the right thing, too. But they would toss little people.
Doesn't sound good
Hopefully
either.
they paid them a lot. But the little people, I mean. But anyway, so Sylvester Stallone's the one who found him and was like, hey, he's the first, he should be the villain in Rocky. And then that's where he met Hulk Hogan. And then Hulk Hogan was like, oh, you'd be perfect for wrestling. Just get a guy with a mohawk like this. And
Yeah.
come wrestle and all that. Anyway, Mr. T is the only thing that keeps our marriage going.
No.
But he became a bodyguard for like Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Leon Spinks, Joe Frazier, things like that. He
So
would
when
charge
did he change
$3,000
and
a
go
day.
in front of the camera? You
When-
keep saying he's behind the camera.
No, when Sylvester Stallone discovered him while he was a
Oh,
bouncer.
that's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That was
right.
it.
All right.
Anyway,
Anything more about Mr. T?
yeah, he was on Sunday NBC TV. He was America's Toughest Bouncer. It was a TV show. It was yeah. Oh, he actually threw a 150-pound stuntman who broke through a wooden door.
All right. Anything else? This was riveting.
Well, part of that, he had to box like a guy a lot bigger than him, and he gave him a bloody nose. He was interviewed by Bryant Gumbel before the boxing match, and he said, I feel sorry for the guy who I have to box. I just feel sorry for him. The fight was scheduled to last 3 rounds, but Mr. T finished it in less than 54 seconds.
So he was a real boxer?
And that's when he said, I don't hate him, but I pity the fool.
Oh, and that's when
That
it
would,
became
no, he
his
said that.
catchphrase.
He said that line Rocky too, and that became his thing. But Sylvester Stallone saw that interview with him before the boxing part of the competition. But no, yeah. So he wasn't a boxer. I don't think he just did it for that. So
Okay, got it.
And then he boxed Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 2.
He boxed or wrestled?
He boxed Roddy Piper. They did a boxing match in WrestleMania, and Roddy Piper, who
That's
is
like a turducken.
Roddy Piper, is a wrestler, but
Yeah.
he was like, I'll fucking go toe to toe with anybody. And so he fought Mr. T.
All right, we're done.
boxing match.
We don't need this story right now.
WrestleMania 2 was
No,
great.
we're not bringing in. We're in 1952 for Christ's sake.
Was it WrestleMania 1? I think
We're
it was
not
2.
talking about wrestling. 1952.
Might have been WrestleMania 1 that they did the boxing. And WrestleMania 2, I think he teamed up with Hulk
1952, the wrestlers wore like little G strings, or not G strings.
Hogan. No, I'm not
but,
saying 1952.
Speedo.
I'm
They
saying
look like
WrestleMania
Speedos.
2.
pulled them up way past their
Over
belly
their
button.
belly button, yeah.
Yep.
Well, they did that in wrestling too back then.
He had big curly handlebar mustaches.
Yeah. WrestleMania 2 is when that was in.
God, why are you... All right, it's time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
Wait a minute. You can't just.
We're not going to go talking about WrestleMania 2. Nobody has asked you any
Yeah,
questions
Mr.
about
T
that.
and Roddy Piper were in a boxing match in WrestleMania 2. I was right the first time. And Randy Savage fought George the Animal Steel.
You know what?
Thanks
I'm going
for-
to I'm going to tell you what I tell my kids in my class.
Yeah.
Answer me 2 questions.
Okay. Randy
Are
Macho Man Savage is the greatest wrestler of all
No,
time.
no.
And
Are you in
also
charge?
have- I am in charge. No, Charles is in charge.
And the
of our
second
days and our
question
nights.
is, did somebody ask you the rules? Those questions always go together, and I say them
I don't
about
get
5
it.
times a day.
I'm not sure I get what you're hinting at because, number one, I am in charge, motherfucker.
No.
I'm the one who posts these episodes. I do all the editing.
Okay.
I got us listed on iTunes.
It's time to get out of here, Chuck Berry.
You know what? Let Dale through. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for listening. It was nice and fun. Just 2 people. It was just low key, kind of not as like nerve wracking.
Amy gets nervous when we have guests.
I don't get
because-
nervous. Quit saying that.
Well, more nervous than me because you usually don't know these folks. Like
I
they're
don't.
people I know.
I'm not nervous. I just it's less
Well,
relaxed.
let's just say I edit out fallings out between Amy and the guest every week.
Not. You stop.
Every week, Amy and the guest get into it, and I have to edit
Fight.
it all out. They end up calling her a bitch and storming off the set. So I have to like recreate. And sometimes I do impressions of the guest who's left
All right. Good night.
just to fill in the empty.
Good night.
Matt Truman, by the way, Matt Truman Ego Trip is the greatest rock and roller of all time. And so the music you're about to hear, created by Matt Truman Ego Trip. The music in the beginning of that episode, created by Matt Truman Ego Trip. Buy his albums and pay more than what they're going for on Bandcamp, okay? Support this fucker. He's the greatest of all time.
That's right.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Look out now, 'cause we gonna go on things you don't wanna hear anymore. But you ain't exactly coming up with solutions. But if you find what you're looking for, won't you help me out? This is the time, this is the place. If you're down and out, then you know what I'm saying. Change we need is help on
Now,
a
Mr. Stage, I know that you
resolution.
teach a course in experimental sound at the new school.
Experimental music.
Experimental music.
Yes.
Will you tell us quite seriously whether or not you consider what we're about to hear music? No tongue in
Well-
cheek, but serious.
No, perfectly seriously, I consider music the production of sound. And since in the piece which you will hear I produce sounds, I would call it music.
You will call it music. John Cage and Water Walk.
Just making music. Sounds. Nope. This is a show on Broadway. I think. Huh? It's awesome. Yeah. Everybody's drunk and smoking.